when people said to me, Babette, that can't happen. Years ago, Greg Kinnear, Talk Soup, Matt Lauer, The Today Show. I mean, I can go on and on and on about so many things that people had said to me that will never happen.
Welcome to Celebrity Focus Insiders with your host, Rick Backrack.
Not just in the business of celebrity, but married to celebrity as well, Babette Perry is a broadcasting agent at Innovative Artists in Los Angeles. In fact, she's a partner at Innovative Artists, and before that was with mega agencies IMG and ICM. Babette, is a broadcasting agent, you're working with a very diverse group of talent. What categories of talent do you represent?
Well, I work with, having come from IMG, I'm now working with coaches and athletes. I work with a lot of actors and comedians and experts and hosts and reporters and just every aspect of the unscripted business. But my world is almost every talent in the unscripted world. So just think of everything from MTV to network news.
And who are some of the clients that you represent? Because I know you've got a great roster. We want to make sure that the brand executives and the agency folks know who your client base is.
So it's everyone from Tom Bergeron to Phil Keoghan from The Amazing Race and his new show, Tough as Nails. It's not so new anymore, but newer than Amazing Race. It's Garcelle Beauvais. It's Valerie Bertinelli. It's Rachel Smith from Entertainment Tonight. It's every athletes to network anchors. Alyssa Farah is new to me from who just got The View, which we're super excited about. Judge Mathis just got a primetime show on A&E, Court Show. So it's pretty much almost every aspect of the industry as it relates. It could be an actor, it could be a host talent, it could be an athlete, it could be an expert. So it's all aspects of the business. And we also sell shows and we develop shows around talent. For example, David Allen Grier, he's really interested in the food space. So we're really excited about him. And Garcelle Beauvais, obviously coming off Real Housewives. We had development deals to develop so many different shows in all the spaces that she's interested in the lifestyle area. It's Brooke Burke, who everyone knows from Dancing with the Stars, but also empowering women in lifestyle type programming. So it's all aspects of the business.
And I remember Brooke from the Wild On days.
Yeah.
I go back, quite a while. You're obviously focused on what I'll call primary employment, but a big part of the careers for everybody are the extra opportunities, that they're able to, I don't want to say exploit, but let's say those relationships, the corporate branded opportunities. From an agent's perspective, what do you look for? What kind of opportunities do you look for in terms of alignments with your clients? And feel free to use a few examples because you've got great clients that are a natural fit with some brands out there.
Right. I mean, I think what works in our world and why it's different than acting. So it's about your authenticity, it's about your likability, it's about your credibility. And I think that's the reason why the talent that we work with are so important to brands. I mean, look at Jennifer King, for example. Jennifer's the first African-American female coach in the NFL. And this woman is so authentic. She's so likable and she's so credible and so important to the world. So there's a lot of firsts, too, that we like to get involved in. If you look at someone like Garcelle Beauvais, for example, yes, she's coming off Real Housewives, but she's really America's sweetheart. People are cheering for Garcelle. And so she did The Real. She has a book coming, or her book already came out, actually. And people really, really cheer for her on the show. And they feel that she's very relatable. Valerie Bertinelli is a good example. Yes, she fell into our hearts, on her sitcom and her television career. But then people fell in love with her as a woman that's hosting shows about food. I mean, she's an incredible food person. And so what I like to do and what I think is important for the brands is to look at the celebrity and to find out specifically what they like. Ming Na is interested in food, but she's also interested in home design. David Allen Grier is literally a chef. I mean, he knows how to cook everything. He knows about the spices. And Maureen McCormick, I mean, she's really interested in home design. And so taking middle America's sweethearts and men that they've related to their whole entire careers, and then focusing on what's authentic. So a lot of actors and host personalities think that in order to build these licensing businesses that they have to say, oh, I like to cook, and they may not like to cook, but they know that there's a licensing business for them. What we do is we really look at the authentic voice, what it is that the celebrities really, really do on a day-to-day basis. Like, for example, athletes. One of the things that I love about working with athletes and coaches is that most people focus on Fox Sports and ESPN, and I don't do that. I want to find out from the athlete what it is that they do for a hobby, home design. Like, we're developing a show right now around, like, Ron, my husband, will be hosting a show that is about home design, very similar to America's, ABC's Home Makeover, but working with the athletes and their, the fans' favorite athlete all over the country, and really looking at these athletes who really do build in their home. They fix things up. In my house, Ronnie does everything. And so a lot of people just look at some of these athletes as someone who talk about sports, but some of them have a legal background. Some of them have a medical background. They have so many things to offer. So I think that's what's really important, is the authenticity about that celebrity, that anchor, that host. I mean, look how many news anchors in my career that I was able to develop for programming. Before, they were just reading news, and now they're hosting shows like Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood and Extra. And so it's really taking people out of what people know them from and then developing their muscles in other areas. But I think the authentic voice is what's separating everything in our industry right now, because you can't really fool middle America. I mean, they've really seen through so many things, especially in the last couple of years. So it's really important. Like I always tell people, it's not about how you look anymore. It's about, what is your voice? What do you think about? What's important? What is your value? What are your values? And more importantly, like, what are the things that you actually do on a day-to-day basis that we may not know about?
And we are going to take a short break in just a moment, but just to clarify for our viewers, the Ronnie you're referring to is former NFL player Ron Pitts. And I know you guys have a couple of kids that are in college right now and just out of college right now. One of the boys, I think, is a football player at UCLA.
Yes.
So it seems to be continuing.
So,
Go ahead.
I was just going to make a point. Like, our family legacy is, my father-in-law was Elijah Pitts. Elijah coached 4 Super Bowls and played in 2 Super Bowls under Vince Lombardi. Ronnie was drafted by Buffalo, and he's a second-generation Packer. Shay is playing at UCLA wearing his dad's number at the Rose Bowl, number 47. And Lee, my oldest, is also Lee got his MBA while playing football, and right now he is in training and hoping to make it to the next level, whether it's XFL or NFL. And Shay is in his first year of law school while playing football, so he's in their master's program. So yeah, they definitely take after their dad and their grandfather.
Yeah, I think your young men have some high achievers surrounding them.
Well, like Ronnie always says, the most important thing, it's like, you would think that someone like Ron would be like, I need my son to be such an important athlete. Like, that is the last thing that he talks about with the kids. In fact, they joke, they think it's more me than Ron. But like, he wants to know how their school's going, how their jobs are going, because they work and they play football at the same time. Ronnie has been very, very instrumental in focusing on life after football. We always say football is a means to an end. It's not the end, but the most important thing is your education, and most importantly, being happy. Because there's so much pressure being put on these young kids today that Ron makes it, and I do too. I keep saying Ron because like the kids joke about it, like mom's the one like, did you work out? How's your nutrition going? And dad never asks us those things, but mom does. But I think it has to do with the fact that we know how much pressure, and we know that 1% of 1% of a million can make it to the next step. So we feel like our kids are very accomplished. The fact that they earned scholarships, none of them got scholarships coming out of high school, and they both walked on and earned their scholarships. So that's really important. And I think they do a lot of volunteer work, and they're just exceptional. I mean, I know I sound like I'm bragging about my kids, but
Well,
it's really
go
about,
ahead. You have a right to.
but I think it has to do with what they do off the field. My kids volunteer. They have always, I mean, a lot of the awards that Shay's getting right now at a UCLA are academic, and most importantly, what he does off the field. And I think I used to say to them, I'm like, I never knew that you guys did all those things. We did that as a family, but we
Right.
didn't know that they were going to carry on the tradition. So we always say to them, like you never told us that you do this. And they're like, well, mom, it's volunteer work. People that volunteer don't have to tell people what they do. So for me, it's really about the character and the integrity and their values. So we are over the moon, happy for them. But again, like it's not going to be the end, and it's an incredible experience that they have right now.
Well, we have lots more to talk about. We're going
Okay.
to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more with Babette Perry. Stay tuned.
Hey, hey, these are my shoes. And here's the rest of me.
Come to my window, I'll be home soon. You're in the arms of the angel.
It's about not just the fundraising, but getting people to understand how important North Pond is to Lincoln Park, to Chicago, to our natural areas, but also to us as human beings, to our need for connecting to nature.
And we're back with Babette Perry of Innovative Artists in Los Angeles. Babette, a big part of your practice is reality and lifestyle folks for brands to consider relationships with.
Because I think with actors, they're playing the role, right? But actors who host, or hosts who do host, it's the onion layers being revealed. It's their authenticity that separates them from someone who's reading copy. I remember years ago, a very famous talent that I was representing in the talk area, he said, Babette, that's when I'm playing the role of a host. And I said, that's probably why your show's about to get canceled. You can't play the role of a host. You have to be a good listener. You really have to be authentic. And I think that's the difference. And I think brands are looking for people who are authentic to the brand, who really use the product, or who are someone that's trustworthy. Like I said at the beginning, the authenticity of the talent, the likability, and more importantly, the credibility. It's like, do I want to watch this person for an hour? Do I like this person? How credible is this person? And I think the unscripted talent, and certainly actors who are hosting, hit those brands a lot better because they're so organic, and they're not made up. They're real.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this before. As an agent, you see a lot of opportunities, and you're fielding offers and opportunities for your clients all the time. What do you look for in a brand when you're considering a relationship between one of your clients and a brand? What are the things you're looking for in terms of what the brands are bringing to the table?
I would almost take it a little bit more on the opposite. I would look at what the talent really use. Like, what products do they use? Like, what hair products do they use? What do they eat? What do they drink? What kind of clothing do they wear? Each talent actually has something that they've been in love with, whether it's a facial product, a deodorant, or a product that they actually really, really use. I think that's the most important thing. or something that plays into the brand. Like if you look at someone like Phil Keoghan from The Amazing Race and Tough as Nails, Phil Keoghan is one of the most authentic voices in television. This is a man who rode his bike from LA to New York to raise money for multiple sclerosis. Okay, this is a man who volunteers his time, who does a lot of things that people like Phil don't have to do. He really loves people. He is the most incredible human being that I have ever worked with, and the way in which he deals with people is unbelievable. Now, he also is on The Amazing Race and Tough as Nails. Now, Tough as Nails celebrates and came right before, I'm fourth in inches to when the COVID started. It was just really on the borderline, and he had developed that show for 10 years. It took us 10 years for that to actually get picked up. But Tough as Nails is a show that really empowers middle America to be mentally and physically tough. Now, I can't imagine that there isn't an advertiser out there that does not want that brand out there. And I think Phil is the authentic voice, and he really is about mental and physical toughness. And really, with what we've gone through as a country in the last 3 years, I think the reason why that show has been so successful is because it really does celebrate not celebrity, but real people across the country. Could it be a school teacher? It could be someone who works on a farm. It could be, they're like, we didn't get to really get to know real authentic people and what they do. It may not be the sexiest jobs that you ever heard, but they represent our country, and they are mentally and physically tough. So Phil being the host of that show is a voice that's super important. And I think when the brands are looking for authenticity, I think it's really important that they play into the strength of the talent that actually does those things. And in this case, Phil represents what I think every human being should, and it's about perseverance. It's about loyalty, integrity, and I think that message was super important, which is why I think the show did so well this year and throughout the pandemic.
Switching gears just a little bit, I know you're really excited about one of your newer clients, who's a ballerina. And
Mhm.
we've talked about the fact that there's a lot of opportunity there and some things that are really unnatural fit. But tell us a little bit about her, and the types of opportunities that you see that are a great fit with her.
Yes, Tyler is a new client of ours, and literally within days, we started working with her. And she's one of the top ballerinas in the country. And I had a chance to really have a long conversation with her and her manager. And you know, I think also just dance and like she was really funny. She came up with this great show idea, which I haven't sold yet. So I'm telling you about this before the public knows about this. But she was saying, why can't I be the analyst? Why can't I do play-by-play and analyst work in football? Because so much of dance really goes on in the football, on the football field. Like the wide receiver jumping into the end zone. It's like a dance, right? And she has all these different analogies. She also was talking about tackles and things that she does as a dancer, that how similar they are to sports and football in particular. So yes, she has such grace about her, and she in the dance world is one of the most well-respected dancers in the country and probably in the world. But I loved her idea about football because no one's thinking about a beautiful dancer as an analyst on Fox Sports or ESPN.
And
But
just to clarify for our viewers, we're talking about Tyler Peck,
yes,
is
mhm,
this amazing world-class ballerina.
yes, yeah.
So I just thought I better
Oh
get
yeah,
that in there. We've got
absolutely.
time for one last thing, and I want to ask you to share any advice that you might have for brand leadership, agency leadership, whether that be ad agency leaders, PR agency leaders. What should they be thinking about? What's some advice that can help them when they're considering talent to align with?
I think the most important thing is, I mean, truth. I know it sounds so incredibly basic, but whether, in my job and what I do every day, I have to be really passionate about what I sell. I really have to believe in what I sell. And I think in the world that we sit in, you know, I know a lot of people feel like anybody can sell anything, but it's not true. You have to really know that talent. You have to know and have a belief in them. I think whether you're on the advertising side or the agent side, it's super, super important that the integrity of what we do is paramount. And I think, you know, I couldn't sell anything I didn't believe in. I couldn't. There's so many things that are extremely important, I think, in the world that we sit in, that a lot of people look at Hollywood agents and they think of certain situations, but at the end of the day, I really feel like it's the best part of my job is the fact that I believe and I'm passionate about people. And I think whether you're on the ad side of it or whether you're on the agent side of it, the authenticity and the integrity of what you do is super, super important. And I know it sounds like a Girl Scout, and I was Girl Scout, a brownie. But I mean, as basic as it is, I think that's the most important advice I can give. And the last thing I would say, and this has to do with just life in general. Somebody had asked me not too long ago, you know, like, what was it that, you know, inspired me, or how did I get to do what I did? And what was the most important thing, lesson I learned in this business? And to be honest with you, I think it was the fact that I was really naive when I started. And I think that we can't lose sight of what that means. And that means when people said to me, Babette, that can't happen. Years ago, Greg Kinnear, Talk Soup, Matt Lauer, The Today Show. I mean, I can go on and on and on about so many things that people had said to me that will never happen, because you can't go from entertainment to network news, or you can't go from different jobs. And I think the most important thing to remember is I love the fact that I was naive. I love the fact that there was not a paradigm when I started that told me what I could not do. Because yes, I was naive. I did not know the business. I was learning the business. I mean, when I say learning, I'm talking about learning it on my own. I did not really have a lot of mentors during the time, and I kind of wanted to create a business that was different, in that I wanted to take news anchors and give them opportunities to host shows and do other things. But I remember not knowing that you can't pick up the phone and call the president of a network or a studio because you never met them before. And I think the most exciting thing is when I used to call and say, you have to sign this person. This is the most important person. I had no other clients. They didn't know that. And I'm like, you don't have to sign another client of mine if this doesn't work out. And these guinea pig clients were very, very big. They did extremely well. And I think being a little bit naive and not feeling like the rules have to be a certain way was really, really helpful. And I think sometimes people lose sight of the creativity that we need. And I think that has to change.
That is such a great point. There's nothing like not knowing any better. Oh, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. And we do. We cut our teeth that way, and that's how we really learn. Babette, you've been a spectacular guest. Thank you so much for joining me. To our viewers, if you like what you've seen, look around. Somewhere on that screen, you'll see a subscribe or a something button that says subscribe here. Go ahead and do it. Go to celebrityfocus.com, sign up for our newsletter. Eventually, we'll put some cool stuff out there. Anyway, Babette, thank you for joining us. And to our viewers, we'll see you really soon.
And Rick, thank you for the honor of being on your show. Thank you so much.
I'm honored. Thank you.
All right, you take care.
Say hi to the family.
I sure will. Bye-bye.
See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Celebrity Focus Insiders, connecting famous people with famous brands. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date and check out our past episodes at celebrityfocus.com.